Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Saturday, January 27th, 2018. My name is Rich, and joining me once again for Ultimate Beastmaster is Bijan. How you making out?
What up, man? I'm doing good.
We had some good episodes. Finally,
Yeah.
we had a few rough ones in a row, but I really think we're ending the season off pretty strong.
Yeah, it was like really strong, kind of crescendo, like bleh, towards the back end. But man, strong ending. I gotta say, like, one episode was good, but man, that 10th, I think it was 10th episode, right, Rich?
Ninth.
Or was it 9th?
Ninth.
9th episode, like penultimate episode, y'all. That was some good stuff. In my opinion, the second best episode of the season. First episode was the strongest probably of the show's history, in my opinion. But man, this episode number 9, this was some good stuff. Really high-end competition.
So in this episode, we will be covering episodes 8 and 9, if it wasn't already clear. But before we get into that, I do want to mention really quick some ninja news, because we are ultimately about American Ninja Warrior for the most part. USA versus the World, the 3-hour special has been announced for Sunday,
Woo!
March 11th.
Do it. Nice. Very curious that, there's still no announcement for Ninja versus Ninja, but traditionally when we look at the history of ANW versus the World, or any of the ANW specials really, they tend to come right before, I'd say, like a new season of Team Ninja Warrior or something in the universe of American Ninja Warrior, whether it's a new season or not. So I'm really curious why this date was chosen. Is this going to lead into Ninja versus Ninja? There is no announced date yet for that show, but I am willing to bet like all my money that we are going to see the premiere of Ninja versus Ninja within 2 weeks of that March 11th date.
Yeah, it seems pretty likely. I think what I saw was 16 episodes for Ninja vs. Ninja, which means basically 4 months, which will, I would expect it to start in March.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, which means we're going to have overlap again. Shoot me now.
You're not excited for it, man?
I do. I like having Ninja back to back, just not at the same time. Guys, you got to line this stuff up a little better. Come on, have one finish and the next one start.
Yeah. Hey, it's gonna keep us busy at least. There's so much unknown about this new season of Ninja versus Ninja that I'm really curious, and I'm kind of excited. I have a feeling we're gonna see a lot of fresh faces for this upcoming season, so that's some good stuff. This ANW versus the World, I must say, I'm always a huge fan of it. It's the closest thing we get to the format of Ultimate Beastmaster, and I always really genuinely enjoy that stuff. So yeah, we'll discuss it more in the upcoming months leading into it, but I'm glad we at least have an announced date and we have something to look forward to.
So let's get into it. Let's wrap up our coverage of the regular season, if you want to call it that, of Beastmaster. And next week will be our finale. And for those that don't follow me on Instagram, you may not realize that Kyle Soderman, one of the Beastmasters, will be joining us for our coverage of the finale.
I'm excited. Kyle Soderman's going to give us a lot of details in terms of what it was like filming on the show and a lot of the background coverage of what's going on. Very similar to when we had Jeff Britton on our show, season that he was able to become the first American Ninja Warrior. So this is some really cool stuff. Obviously, neither Rich or I have watched the season finale of Ultimate Beastmaster. So Kyle Soderman coming on our show isn't some spoiler that he won. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But, also just a little hint for later, we are going to give our top picks for who's going to ultimately win Ultimate Beastmaster Season 2. And just want to remind everybody, the champ is here. Oh, yeah, you're going to get a lot of bills tonight.
Oh, please, no. Please do not let him choose the right person. I'll never hear the end of it.
Champ is here.
So looking at these episodes, the first one, episode 8, taking a look at the competitors, did anybody stand out to you in level 1? Was there anyone that you're like, oh yeah, this is the person that's going to take it down?
Dude, one thing that stood out to me was when they were previewing all the competitors, it felt like almost every competitor was being described as a parkour expert. And I'm like, is this just the episode of the parkour dudes? Like, they just like got every parkour dude and just threw them on the course. It was very weird. It kind of reminded me of season 1 when there were a few episodes where it felt like everybody was from CrossFit. Other than that, I mean, the one guy that stood out to me was Lance Russell. He's an American Air Force, I believe, medic, and the guy just seemed very poised. He almost seemed like, I don't know, like a movie star. Just, I don't know. Some people just have that it factor, right, Rich? And this guy just had so much presence to him. I didn't even like notice him as a competitor. I was like, oh man, this guy has his stuff, like, you know, he's got his ish together, so to speak. But yeah, I was rooting for that guy. He seemed like a really great guy, really well put together and everything. And we also had some very strong competitors from Team China. Why don't you talk a little bit about them?
Yeah, we had Fong, who was the first one who hunts wild hogs. Interesting guy.
Hunts wild hogs?
Yeah.
What?
Like bow and arrow hunting some crazy hogs that, you know, ruin their farmland, so they've got to do it every year. Yeah, that was something to see. And he was something to see because he was really strong on the course, really stood out, I thought, right from the beginning.
Very mentally strong. Like, anytime he'd have any type of, I don't know, any struggle or like a situation where most competitors would freak out, he always looked so incredibly calm under pressure.
Yeah, and to a lesser extent, the other Chinese competitor, Jin Shui, parkour stuntman, he seemed okay. I just kind of had him, you know, he seemed like he had a decent shot, but didn't really stand out quite as much, I didn't think.
Did he come off kind of like a Frosty Zernow to you? Like, he just had a vibe where he's like, you know, that really fun, frantic parkour guy.
Yeah, he was okay. Like, I don't know. I didn't find he had as much personality. I that really stood out.
It's hard to match Frosty in that.
Well, yeah, for sure. Besides them, there wasn't a whole lot that stood out in this episode as far as competitors. I guess no one else that really kind of got your attention as someone who might actually end up winning the whole thing. Not to me, at least. No,
the one competitor that stood out to me, and it's hard to describe. You guys are gonna like turn your heads a little bit, but there was this woman, and she was so, like, just not there that I forgot her name completely. She just looks like this, you know, middle-aged woman, doesn't have any screen presence, doesn't even look like she wanted to be there. She's just like, oh, I'm here, I guess I'm doing this, you know? But she's like, she just kills the course, this little tiny lady. Oh, do you by any chance have her name?
Of course I do. It's Alejandra de Castro from Spain.
Yeah, that woman. Yeah, she was so awesome. And I don't know. She looked so just like, I don't even know the term, man, but she just looked bored out there, right, Rich?
Yeah, I guess that's why I didn't mention her before. But now that you say that, yeah, she did really well. We should mention her as well. She's 36, OCR racer.
She made it to the second energy coil, and she is a tiny woman. Most women have trouble even making it to the energy coils because of the jump length.
Yeah, I really liked her. She was good.
But it was weird because when you first see her, she's like a black hole of charisma. And it's like, oh, who is this?
A little bit, yeah.
But it's so odd because she's so uncharismatic that in a way it almost makes her engrossing. It is so hard to describe. But if you guys see it, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Moving on to level 2, we had Jin Shui from China. He was the first one to take the course. He's looking very confident. Ended up going sideways off the left of the dismount from the Dreadmills. Like, absolutely, like, heart-stopping. He went completely almost off course.
Scary. Yeah, it was weird, too, because most people don't fall on that particular point.
No, they don't. So I wasn't sure what was behind it. Like, he went off in such a weird way. I'm glad they cut angles quickly. So you're like, okay, so there is a pool down that way if he did end up falling.
Oh, did you think like he just like fall in dirt and like break his legs?
I was like, how big is that pool? Because he was going in a weird direction.
Yeah. I was just more like, oh man, is this guy gonna fall off like this way? Talk about like that would have been the worst for that poor guy. I'm happy he made it because he's such a strong competitor. And once again, falls off the damn padding, stays comfortable as it can be, and keeps on moving. It's weird.
Yeah, and you like the USA competitor Luke Russell. Him and his mom sneakers end up sliding back out of the digestive tract.
Yeah, like Rich isn't doing it justice. Imagine like the oldest of old, like anytime you go to like an old folks home or anything like that, and you see every single senior citizen wearing the same white, just, I don't know, silver and white old person sneakers. Like this guy's wearing them, and there's no reason whatsoever of why. There's no explanation. And like, it was so distracting, right, Rich? It's like, what is he wearing?
I wouldn't have noticed. I don't notice that kind of thing, but Chris pointed it out.
Oh, I noticed immediately, bro.
As soon as he pointed out, I couldn't stop looking at them.
Yeah, they're so distracting. I mean, like, I don't know what happened. I can't tell you what he did in this stage because all I could look at were the sneakers. And I'm like, why are you wearing those? Like, if they work, good for you, right? But, like, there's a reason you don't see all the competitors wearing sneakers like that.
Yeah, we learned why, because they have no traction in the digestive tract, and he ended up sliding right out of there. But we have to talk about, this is where Big Fong went from very promising to actually, like, intense and a little scary. His routine where he, like, wears the mask to simulate high altitude, and he's, like, so intense about...
That's some stuff, bro.
Whew. That guy is like hardcore training for this stuff. And he ran through the stomach churn. I have never seen anyone go through those things like that.
He flew through it. And one thing I want to say now that you mention it is one thing in particular about Bin Fong that is he's a smaller guy, right? He's Chinese. I think they said he was 5'6", but he's so strong in his legs that he jumps like he's over 6 feet. When he makes a leap, it is an intense, powerful leap where he spans very long distances, far more than you'd expect for somebody his size. And that says a lot because of his shorter stature, he's not holding on to as much weight. He's not some bodybuilder type guy, but he does have strong, powerful legs. So in many aspects, he's got like all around fitness. He's able to hold up his body weight well, but also have really long jumps. Really well suited for this particular sport in Ultimate Beastmaster.
Yeah, because most of the shorter competitors, when they leap from the energy coils or up to the stomach churn, they take it right in the ribs, right? Like they can't just get their feet up there. This guy is leaping up like he's got springboards on his feet. Like he's standing and in a full run as he hits them.
Yeah, like I would not be shocked if this dude can like dunk on me.
Absolutely crazy. And then he was sliding in the digestive tract, and I thought, there is no way he's making it, right? He started struggling his way through, but he made a jump like that he should not have been able to make.
Yeah, so this is the crazy part, y'all. Like, oh my God. We've seen, if you've seen this, like the digestive tract, at a certain point, it's just impossible. When you get like level to it or underneath the level, you're done. There's no way you're going to make that gap and go upwards, like in an upward momentum to that treadmill. This dude, was he level or a little bit underneath the level? And he was actually able to do it. And it wasn't even like he barely makes it. Like he lands both his feet on that damn Dreadmill. I just don't know how he did it. Me saying it does not do it justice. You guys have to go out of your way to see this. It was so insane. It was one of the far more impressive, like, physical feats that we've seen on this show. A lot of physical feats, when you think about Ultimate Beastmaster, it's always like upper body, like, oh, this dude held on for a long time on his arms or something like that, right? Very rarely, actually, now I think about it in both sports, American Ninja Warrior and Ultimate Beastmaster, very rarely do we see enough appreciation for the lower body types of things. This is one where you can see just how impressive it was.
That's a very good point. Yeah, definitely worth checking out. He did end up going out on the chain reaction after swinging around there a while. He got screwed up. He couldn't quite make the transition to vertebrae, but Very, very good run.
Yeah. And man, he runs with an altitude mask. Like,
Yeah.
dude, Rich, you gotta try it one time. I've done it a few times on a treadmill. I get like 5 minutes in and I feel like I'm going to die. Like it is so bad. I don't know how people do that stuff, but if you ever want to simulate dying, that is a quick way of doing it.
Yeah, I don't think I want to do that, but yeah, there's more power to you guys. You go ahead.
Hey, don't look at me like I'm one of those crazies that do it. I was like, I'm good.
And we should mention as well Gregoire Rezenico from France, who decided to go face first into the last stomach churn, which looked incredibly painful. And we had a few of these.
That's
in
the
these
guy
flip
where
sides.
everybody thought he broke out all his teeth, right?
Yeah, it kind of looked like it.
Yeah, like I don't know. When I first saw it, I genuinely thought he lost some teeth. This dude like flew from a big distance, and like, you know how most people like land from that giant gap? What was it, like a 10-foot gap or something? Like on their butts and stuff. This dude like lands with all force into his face in the corner. I have no, like, that dude better be thankful to whatever is up above looking out for him. Because man, I could have easily seen him losing all his teeth.
Yeah, but thankfully he didn't.
That would have been nasty.
Yeah, and he got to go into level 3. He got to continue on. Good for him. No hope. He was one of those no
I was
hope
like,
guys.
I forgot his name. Like, I was like,
but we look at level 3. Bing Fong was again looking very strong. He made it to the hangman without too much trouble, but he was really struggling when he got there, and they suggested it was because of his arm length, like that it was actually kind of hindering him a bit there.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but that seems a little unlikely
does
to me.
that
We've
really
had some
matter?
short competitors do well on there, right? Like, you just have to be able to pull yourself up enough to do it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think arm length is going to particularly hinder you on that obstacle too much. For me, really, as soon as he reached that point, I thought he had it in the bag in terms of making it to stage 4. There's just a certain point where it's like you're so far above in front of the pack, you know?
Yeah. And then we had, I'm telling you, Coil Crawl has been the beast killer. I don't know what you want to call him. A ninja killer this season.
Yeah, dude. That thing's no joke. It's interesting because when we first saw it, I really liked the fact that they all go down, but I never would have imagined it would take out so many competitors. Like,
It's
did you see
brutal.
that looking back, man?
No, because last season it was not much of an obstacle, right? It was kind of middle of the road, not really much of anything.
Yeah,
This
it just
season,
like tires you out a little bit. But not
it's
really.
so long. Like, I think it's like one section too many, maybe, because it's just absolutely a gauntlet for them to get through.
Yeah, well, I like that though, man, because the fact that you cannot slow down at any moment, you have to keep moving, otherwise you're going to be at the bottom. I mean, I like that. If anything, maybe, I mean, I don't like the prospect of nerfing obstacles, to be honest with you. But if anything, if you want to see more competitors make it further in, lower at least the very first hangman. And maybe have the first hangmans like have an ascension, you know? Maybe that would get more people at least starting on it. But even there, I'd be fine with it just staying the same.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with it. I like the hangman. I like seeing people attempt it, and we didn't get to see enough of the end of level 3, I think.
No, I agree with that completely as well. Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do in next season, in season 3, because I can very much easily see them looking back and, you know, adjusting it because it might be a little too difficult, as you said. So I'm very curious how they approach season 3.
I don't know when they trigger. They always say it's when they get a hand onto the next Coil Crawl.
Yeah, as soon as you touch it, it starts lowering. So like if you're like catching your breath on one and grabbing the other, that thing's going down.
I think that's what's screwing people up, because there's some people that don't look like they're going particularly fast through it, but I think they're just getting the transition right, where some people touch it early and start the whole thing down. You know what I mean? They might be going really well, but they're not really transitioning quick enough. They touch it and then they readjust before they go, and it's already like taken off on them.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah, that I can easily see that happening. Because like when you're in the moment, you any plans you have go out the window.
Yeah, it's frantic. It's really, there's not a lot of people that get through it that look like it wasn't much of a thing, right? Like most people look like they're scrambling for their life through that. We should mention Leopold Herben, who came out of nowhere. Like, you haven't heard us mention that name before because he wasn't really notable until level 3 when he starts actually going through this, and he ended up one hangman handle short of knocking out Jin Shui. He was so close to actually moving on to level 4 from the back of the pack, basically.
Yeah, it was crazy because it made for, in my opinion, the highlight of the episode. I'm like, ooh. So, like, some things that, like, I don't know. The whole episode, it was kind of leading to China versus China, right? So this kind of, like, I was pretty shocked. I didn't realize the guy was so close. And it just kept going closer and closer and closer. And he ties Shin Shui. And yet, that's when he falls. And I'm like, oh, man, because he was slower than Jin Shui. So he didn't move on. But that was actually pretty fun. I gotta say, though, because we haven't touched on it yet, 2 other highlights of this episode. Number 1, Alejandra. She falls on stage 2, right? And she just looks bored out of her mind. All of a sudden, she gets out of the water, and she's like just in her on her top and bottom, and she's showing off her, like, she has the most toned six-pack you've ever seen for a woman her age. And you just see everybody whistling and everything, and all of a sudden she just, I don't know, she comes alive, starts pointing to her abs, and like is showing it off to the crowd and everything, and everybody's all freaking out.
She did pretty well, especially like on Spinal Ascent. She made good use of momentum and her upper body to make her way up it. But yeah. That's kind of skipping back.
The other highlight, though, is, man, I'm calling it now. I am officially divorcing my future wife from Team China. And I am marrying Francesco, the host of Team Italy. He has made this season so wonderful. He's the highlight of the season. I love this man. Haters gonna hate. We are gonna get married.
He is pretty funny.
Love is love, y'all. It's happening.
We had some
Call me
really
Francesco.
good. We had a few good host moments in this episode. The whole France versus Italy has really kind of stolen the show this season.
It has, and it is the best damn storyline of the year. Like, you want to talk about the stage. I can't even talk anymore. You want to talk about the Stage 5 Ninja Awards, man. You want to talk about best storyline of the year. This needs to be in the running. Like, this is the stuff that I live for. Oh my God. Team France versus Team Italy. And we will get to it, but it goes to all-time levels in episode 9, y'all. But boy, this was fun. Like, Francesco is like the ultimate troll for everybody. He's on his loud horn, just talking mad crap. Like, they have all, like, Team France brings all of their team into their booth, and Francesco goes into the next booth, stands on the damn thing, and starts waving the Italian flag in front of all their faces. Like, it cannot get better. This guy is an amazing talent. Oh my God, I love him.
Chris kind of fell down a few times for me because he's got to stop flirting with all the female hosts. Like, come on, Chris! Like,
it's great. No, we need more of it. I love it where he's like, "Could I have a date if they made it?" And every time he asks for a date, the person falls immediately. It's hilarious.
It's getting to be a bit much. I think they're getting sick of him, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I just hope every single season, Chris just, like, they get a new female host and he's just trying so hard. It's never like sleazy, y'all, because like if you don't watch the show, I'm sure you'd be like, "Oh, why is this guy hitting on people?" It's never sleazy, but it's always fun, and it's always like that helpless guy that's always trying and always being turned down. He's like, "Oh, okay." It's I don't know. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's definitely not the smooth pickup artist. It's the desperate comedian trying his best. So let's wrap up this episode with level 4, Bing Fong versus Jin Shui. It really was pretty much went how you would think it went. There wasn't a whole lot to say.
Yeah, the hog hunter or whatever you call him, dude just dominated, man.
For a minute, you kind of had to wonder, like, if if because he was waiting. He did the whole waiting at the bottom of the motherboard, and but yeah,
I don't
Jinchwei
know.
pulled ahead there for got about halfway up, and then he just tore past him.
Yeah, we talked about this strategy, I think last week, right? And hindsight 2020, I think this is the strategy to go with, honestly, and because both times I've seen it, there's such a dichotomy in the, I guess, athleticism of the person that rested, right, and the person that didn't. The guy that rests always seems to have another burst of energy, and it's not even like in this particular case. Ben Fong, he flew up the motherboard far faster than Jin Shui, far faster, and he was far behind at that moment, but he had so much more energy that was actually able to complete it, and that's the key. He was able to complete it. We've seen that this is the big zapper of energy for almost all the competitors, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I can't knock anybody that doesn't do that because I would have never thought to do it, but now that I've seen it, props to anybody that had the fortitude to do it,
Yeah, if you can't do it easily, or if you need that moment, take the moment, because you can't really rest very well when you're on it. So get that time in if you need it.
Yeah, especially now with, if you fall all the way down to the bottom. It's better to be a little bit more careful than just, go for broke and fall.
Yep. So Bin Fong won, which means China had another Beastmaster, which...
Don't give him much chance. I don't.
No, not really. But we'll get into that. We'll get into our predictions here at the end. Moving on to episode 9. Let's get through.
The second best episode of the season, y'all. Oh my god, this episode is so good. And one reason, before we even get to the competitors, and the competitors made a major part of it, but I gotta say... The storyline of France versus Italy went so far, so great. It was a gestating story, the main dominant storyline the entire season. And what a crescendo for it all to explode this episode. We had the Italian hosts losing their damn minds the entire episode. We had the French hosts just being annoyed with the Italian hosts all the time and actually being a good foil for them, talking all this mad crap also. And we had the teams joining in also, where we had, since it was the final episode, a lot of, the whole American team was, fighting with the whole Spanish team. We had the French entire teams competing with the Italian teams in terms of, just friendly, I guess, competition, teasing each other on the sidelines. It was really fun. A major component of this was just what was happening not on the main course.
Yeah, and what was happening on the course was fantastic too. We had a lot of strong competitors in this episode.
This might have been the strongest field of competitors. I know episode 1 had some strong competitors, but man, we had some really, really, really talented people here.
Yeah, we had people beating the level and getting fast forwarded. It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, multiple people fast forwarded in complete stage 1. And I'm like, when have we seen this now? It's been a minute since I've seen somebody complete stage 1. And this one, what was there, 4 or 5 people completing it?
Let's take a look. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 people. Yeah.
Man, props to them. Not easy.
Yeah, we've never seen that. Not that I can remember.
But more than anything else, not only were they talented people, a lot of charisma, a lot of personality, a lot of good stories, all around. We had some really good competitors here. So give them their highlights, man. Who do we got on this episode?
Oh, well, we have Jorge Martin from Spain, the kindergarten teacher / pole dancer,
Just let that sink in, everybody, just for a second.
Yeah, also known as Mike the Zebra because he poses provocatively with a zebra mask on.
This dude's in literally he's in a Speedo, spandex Speedo, the thong looking Speedo, y'all. Nothing else wearing. Yeah. I don't know. This dude needs to be in Vegas in that one show. I don't know, Magic Mike or whatever it's called. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, he's really good. Like he was a good competitor on top
he's
of
a
all
beautiful human being.
And he's
it's
very
absurd
good.
that people exist like him, but you know.
He wasn't one of the finishers. He couldn't quite make it to the crash pads, but he was solid. He was very. It was a good way to kick off the episode. And the reason he was wearing the zebra thing was because he's a kindergarten teacher and he's a model. He didn't want to have the parents freaking out, so he put the zebra mask on, and it became a whole thing. Just thought I should explain why he would be posing like that with a zebra mask on.
I don't know if that's going to help, but you know. Moving on.
But we really got to mention really the stars of the episode, Mehdi Hadim, and a twin brother to Nabil Hadim.
Yeah, these two guys were really good. Slightly, in my opinion, like lesser shades of the Moem brothers from episode 1. Very, very talented twins, both very physical, both very athletic, and kind of like a friendly competition between the two. I could have easily seen them both just completing every single stage, really. Like, they both had the I guess the talent to just make it past everything, right? In particular, Mehdi stood out to me. He seemed a little bit more precise with everything that he was doing and a little bit more crisp, or I guess athletically profound, as you could say. I don't know. I kind of pictured him, you know, maybe going all the way for like completing everything. This guy really stood out to me. So he was instantly on my radar. And I think he was instantly on everybody's radar because, man, were they hyping him.
Yeah, it was hard to miss him. Like, he did so well. He was and he was getting the point thrusters. He made an interesting catch of the rope on the crash pad since he was sideways coming off the trapeze. Like, just very, very strong competitor right off the bat. You're like, wow, well, I think I know who's going to win this episode. And then they show his brother in a fast forward beating level 1. They fast forward Licio Reccudio from Italy, who also beat level 1. And I was like, okay, what is going on in this episode? Maybe it won't be this MIDI guy, because what the heck is it? Like, there's too many people.
Yeah. Well, the other guy that they were hyping up, and I'm glad they did because he had so much personality, was, why do I even talk if I forget their names?
Julio Montenegro?
Was Julio Montenegro Jr. This guy was a high-end world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, something I follow, actually, and I've heard his name, but I can't say I'm very familiar with him. He's very young, only 21 years old, brimming with personality, though. Like, I think this guy is a star in the making. Very unique look, very poised in front of the camera, very charismatic. I mean, he's just all around everything you want from a show like this. And I really like the fact that he started out with, like, I just want to beat Team Spain. I just want to beat Team Spain. I'm from Mexico. Y'all know what the Spanish did to us Mexicans, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, damn, okay, you going there, bro. And I really was enjoying him, and at that point I was just like, damn, this episode's got so many people. Like, where were these guys, like, spread out through the other episodes, you know? And they just, like, completely loaded up this last episode, and it made for some fun stuff, though. At this point, we had at least 5 competitors that you could easily see making it to the end. And it was just a question of who was going to persevere through the next 2 levels. So I was very, very impressed. This episode, just stage 1 or level 1 really, made me perk up very quickly and like, oh, we have a competition here, man.
Yeah, me too. I was like, all right, so we got I don't know who's going to win. It's great. It's great to have those questions and not know who's actually going to pull it off. But then it was all ruined in level 2 because we had a dab take place randomly at the beginning.
Yeah, don't do that.
Just one.
Don't.
At least we just won this episode. Almost ruined the whole thing, but
yeah, no. I couldn't even let the dab ruin my day. I got a little pink in my face, but nothing red. I'm good.
But Nabil Hadim started off, one of the brothers that we mentioned, who did the dab. Unfortunately, deservedly slid off the chains on chain reaction, but he was really crushing the course to that point. Like, he got pretty far in there. Those chains, like that transition to the vertebrae, is just brutal, man. Just absolutely brutal. Like, totally, even this high level field that we had was struggling on that again.
Yeah, those things are no joke. It's very, like, I don't know if it's a chains component. I know there's distance also and everything, but I'm very curious to hear, and I'm sure we might be able to hear a little bit about it next week with Kyle. Like, what is it particularly about those chains that makes it so incredibly difficult compared to similar obstacles we've seen on other courses? But I do think the chains play a major component, because those things, like, just thinking about it, they can be very, very slippery. And at that point, you're already wet and sweaty.
Most of the competitors fell on chain reaction without a whole lot of variation.
Just stop there, man. Most competitors fell on chain reaction.
Yeah.
I just want to remind everybody, chain reaction is very deep into this course. It is not easy to get there. You have to go through a lot of stuff to get there. So, like, if you guys remember, like, the past two episodes of ANP that we've done, very rarely are we talking about chain reaction, because maybe one competitor makes it there. In this episode, everybody's getting there.
Yeah, we had 4 people fall on chain reaction. Crazy. The ones that didn't, we had Julio Montenegro Jr., who you mentioned before, who hit his face twice on the stomach churn. Absolutely looked dazed and confused as he went into digestive tract, but he did make it out. But it fell on dismount from the Dreadmills, which knocked him out of the contention. You know, most episodes he would have been fine. He would have been moving on, but not in this one.
Yeah, competition was pretty stiff. Really interesting. Like, this is the second time I've seen somebody like make that, like, all the hard parts, like all the hard components of, you know, the Dreadmills and the digestive tract and everything, but they fall at the last portion of it. And I'm like, man, just take your time, get that swing, and, you know, it doesn't look too hard of a transition at that part. But, you know, at that point, they're so winded. I can't fault anybody, but it just sucks because they've struggled so much, and, you know, they can get to that pad and get a rest finally.
And the other person that didn't fall there was Mehdi Hadim from France, who actually managed to make it to the vertebrae without much issue. Really didn't look like he struggled at all. The French host had promised that he'd give him his watch if he beat the thing, and ended up having to give him the watch because he did beat level 2.
In a field that's so strong, Mehdi was able to pull a little bit away by actually making it that far. And, you know, it's a game of inches. Everybody made it one obstacle before where he reached, but he was able to, you know, get past their breaking point and pull away with some more points. So good on that guy. And at that point, Targo's on him. I was like, okay, so Mehdi, I mean, it's his competition to lose right now. And I'm just curious to see if his brother's going to join him or somebody else. And really, at this point, I got to say, I was expecting it to be both brothers against each other pretty easily.
Yeah, me too. I really thought they painted that picture pretty well, that we were going to have another, you know, one country's face-off in the finale. Didn't end up that way, though.
Nope. Y'all know what's coming. Tell him, Rich.
We had the picture-perfect ending of Italy versus France in the final, but we should cover in level 3 how we actually got there.
I was so happy.
Level 3, Mehdi actually showed he had a little flaw in his game or something. I don't know what was going on there, because he looked so strong coming into this and made it to the first hangman without too much issue, which is usually, right, the coil crawl has screwed up so many people. He didn't really have too much problems with it. But he couldn't get past the first hangman. I totally did not see that coming.
I don't know. Maybe he's got, like, not good dead hang strength or something. But, yeah, it was interesting. Fact that that's where he failed at, because he, as you said, he was so strong. I thought he had enough buffer where it wouldn't be an issue. I was more curious about his brother, because I already pictured him moving on to stage 4. I was more curious who would be joining him.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to have a whole lot of pressure on him. We started seeing people struggling we've seen so many people struggle with the coil crawl. But Alberto Gatta from Italy made it through to the hangman and just slowly made his way up it. Like, he looked like he was going to struggle at the beginning because he was doing that figure 4 lock off to rest, but he made good use of it. He kept picking away and picking away. He almost ended up catching Mehdi, actually.
Yeah, this guy was going very slow, like tortoise slow. And on an obstacle where you slow down at any moment, you're done. Like, you do not want to be on that hangman for long. That looks so painful. And he was able to persevere. I mean, props to that guy. He must have some insane grip strength because he was up there for a while. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like he earned his spot. And just going, when he reached this point, Rach, did you have any idea of who the heck this guy was?
No, not really.
Because I was like, who the heck is this guy?
I think I was kind of annoyed at them showing.
Like,
they
what?
did feature him a little bit, and I was like, why are you even showing that guy? Nobody cares about that guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, he really didn't stand out at all.
You want to know what did stand out, though?
What's that?
My husband, Francesco. Oh, this beautiful man. He was so wonderful. Like, he was talking so much crap on the host booth. He was jumping up and down. He was at the top part, about to jump off the damn hosting booth. He's shouting to every single direction. The U.S. hosts are just so done with him. The Spanish hosts are so done with him. He doesn't care at all. He's on his mega horn shouting to the world. He's grabbing, what is it? Like, they're talking about, like, fruits and spaghetti. And, like, these Italian hosts, like, everything's a damn food metaphor to them. It was so fantastic. It was so incredibly extra. I love it. Y'all know, if you ever meet me in real life, you'll know the one thing that you can never describe about me is extra. That is my middle name. I wear it with pride. This dude, he's my husband. Love my life. I love you. Wonderful. Mwah. Just great stuff. Oh, and he wore this ridiculous hat too. Oh, just wonderful stuff.
Yeah, he was pretty great. He was really over the top. Sometimes I was wondering if he was going to fall out of that booth. He was hanging out of it so much.
Dude, he was legit. Like, he could have. Dude was like, his whole body just hanging off the edge. He did not care.
The insurance people will be putting glass around his booth if he comes back.
Have like a little parachute, like, or something underneath.
You might be wondering, like, well, what happened to the other brother, right? So if Mehdi made that fire Alberto, like, what happened to Nabil? Well, he needed 70 points because Alberto had done so well, which meant that he had to do most of Hangman. It looked like he wasn't going to be able to get past Coil Crawl because he got hung up at one point. He does this backflip pull-up deal to get himself back into it. Amazing move. Like, absolutely phenomenal. Managed to get all the way to the end of Coil Crawl in good position to jump to the Hangman, and then he doesn't jump.
Yeah, dude just, like, stopped. Like, he was primed. It wasn't a situation where it was too far. I don't even think he had to really jump at all. He just really had to extend his, like, body outwards and grab the damn thing. But he just stopped. And that was, I have to be honest, like, I wasn't there and all, but I gotta say, as a viewer, that was incredibly disappointing to me. The way they were hyping it and everything, it's like, at least try, man. Like, just extend out, you know, at least show the viewer that you, like, went and took, like, did the chance, right? But yeah, it wasn't even that.
I don't get it at all. Like, I couldn't, there's times where I can see it, like, oh, maybe they don't realize, you know, the distance and stuff. Maybe it's hard to judge from where they're at. He should have been able to see that he had a shot at it. I mean, a pretty good shot at catching it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, just as a younger brother myself, I gotta say, like, he is never gonna hear the end of it. Especially by the fact that they are twins. Like, man, his brother is going to hold that over him for the rest of his life.
Yep. I was a little disappointed, and then I realized, oh, wait, it's Italy versus France in the final. I am no longer disappointed.
So excited. Yeah, and you could tell everybody else was excited, too. They all knew. It was, the whole season was leading up to this, and they were like, this is so perfect. This is so incredibly perfect. And Team Italy was just, they were brimming with joy. They were so excited. They were like, finally, our arch nemesis, we will defeat you, and all this stuff. It was just so great. Going into this, I thought it was pretty much a lock, you know, like that the other twin had it, just because they're hyping up the other twin. And I had no idea who the Italian dude was. I still don't know the Italian guy's name. So I thought it was pretty obvious who was going to win this. But more so, I was just excited to see a really good competition between these guys, and more so the host commentary.
Yeah. There was a 15-point difference between them.
Shockingly close, by the way. I don't know. I felt like Eddie was like far more like up in the points, but no, it wasn't the case.
Well, Hangman is like just a points bonanza, right? If you hit Hangman, you can just like get a ton of points.
Yeah, those points are earned too. I don't knock them because, man,
yeah,
from what I've seen, that does not look fun.
But Alberto got the first point thruster, and I was like, wow, he like made it really close suddenly, and then he got.
So it was a 5-point distance at that point, right?
Yeah, and then he got the second one and pulled ahead, and it was like, oh my god, this is like the best race we've had in level 4.
Yeah, and not just that, I was so excited because my husband's there, like losing his mind, and I'm losing my mind, and I'm like, Italy! And the dude is like on the side saying that, like, saying like, I've got my lucky onion or something like that. What was he saying?
I don't even know.
I've got this onion for good luck, and it's gonna ward away all the bad vibes from France and something. And his co-host has like lucky peppers and stuff. Like, they are so ridiculous. I love it. And he's like literally holding the onion like it's Simba from freaking Lion King up in the air and stuff. And it's so fantastic.
Yeah, there was no subtlety with the hosts at all. Let's just say it was pretty over the top.
Oh, I love it.
I was focused on the competitors. I have to say, at this point, I was really into this race, so I wasn't. Normally, I'm like all in with the host, but this time I wasn't paying so much attention to them because I wanted to see who was going to win the race.
I was in it, but for both.
Yeah, Mehdi ended up falling from the sky hooks, like, which was like, wow, just absolutely stunning.
What a fall from grace, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
This dude was on top of the world in stage 2, and yet it was a steep decline from there.
Yeah. So Alberto was climbing the ventilator as it all finished, and he ended up winning. So our last Beastmaster was Alberto Gata, the first competitor not from USA, China, or France to make it to the end.
I was so happy for Italy. And Sasko's like in tears, holding his onion of all things, and Team Italy's like throwing the guy in the air. It was so perfect. It was a Cinderella story, like literally, by the fact that nobody expected this guy to make it. He didn't even get the promotion. Like, he didn't get like the big vignettes or anything. He's just this understated, hardworking Italian guy that just persevered throughout the entire course. And the little team of Italy, like, they made it to the finals, and good on him. I mean, if I was from Italy, man, what a story. I would be rooting for this guy so freaking hard.
But yeah, so that is it for the regular season. We have one episode left, the finals, to find out who is the ultimate Beastmaster for season 2.
Oof. I gotta say, some good competitors here. All around, you guys already know I'm really digging the course this season. I don't know. I heard a lot of hate about the hosts and everything. Now that I've gone through it, the hosts never really like slowed down to me. As a matter of fact, in my opinion, a lot of them improved. I like the hosts a lot this season. Sure, like Team India, they're very beautiful human beings. I don't remember much about them of the others, but even the hosts that didn't really do much, like teams, the Spanish hosts and the Indian hosts, they still reacted a lot to the other hosts, which was fine. And the standout hosts from Italy, France, one part of America, and China, they were all so strong that, I mean, they made the show, and I loved every moment of it. So yeah, thumbs up here.
Yeah, I love the hosts this season. I think I like them better than we had last season.
I agree, man. Because like last season, they're all fine, but they all came from positions where they don't really know the sport all that much, and they had their own charisma, but I guess the best way to put it is they didn't interact as much with each other, right? This season, all the hosts were interacting with each other. It was always friendly, fun competition. They all seemed like they knew each other and they're all friendly with each other, even though they didn't even speak the same language, most of them. Like, it was always a very, very fun vibe. And same with the competitors, you know? This whole dynamic of it being much more about your representing your countries, it really worked. I think they can go even more into this range of like being different from American Ninja Warrior and all the other types of obstacle course shows, you know, make it country versus country even more so. And I think it's going to be really, really fun. I'm curious to see also, like, we'll never get the stats, but I'm just curious, like, if we can ever hear about like how well this show does in the other countries, because I can see this easily being a very big show in, like, say, India or China or France, you know, or any of the other represented countries. I can see that this easily being big there too.
Yeah, it's so tailor-made. It's so great that you get a different version depending on where you're from. It's not U.S.-centric if you're not from the U.S. It's, you know, they can focus on who they want. But I got to say, it isn't really that U.S.-centric anyway.
No,
really.
it's not.
Like
and I'm so happy about that.
It's very cool. It's a very, very interesting idea. I think they learned a lot from season 1, and I think that's why we saw so much host interaction. They learned that, you know what, people running the same course over and over again can kind of get boring once in a while. It's a really interesting way to liven it up and have them interact in those weird, wonderful ways. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, there's nothing else quite like it.
Yeah, nothing. And case in point, like you're that's a perfect point that you're saying about the fact that the host brings so much into it. But the main fact that I had no idea who the heck this guy was, this Alejandro guy running Stage 4 at the end of this last episode. But yet, I was rooting for him so hard because he was representing Team Italy. So, like, the story's already there. He is a catalyst and a component of the overall story, which is Team Italy versus Team France. And that is already a component in general of the overall story of all these countries competing against each other. They're all layered, and they all play a different component in the overall story. I really, really like that.
Yeah, it's very cool. So let's talk Beastmasters. Let's talk, we've got 9 Beastmasters that have come before. I'll spare you listing them all off, but we got to make our choices. Who we think is going to actually take it all down.
Yes.
And I have a feeling we probably have the same one for number 1.
All right, so you want to go first or me?
You go ahead.
Okay, so my top pick to, like, win the entire show and everything is Haibin Chu from episode 2. Ooh, that rhymed. He's representing China. This guy was so incredibly impressive. Now, going, like, after episode 1, I thought it was a lock. Like, Moem is going to just destroy this entire, like, season. Like, he's lock number 1, but nope. Like, I gotta say, this guy really, really impressed me. Now, let me, like, run down just a few of his accolades that make him stand out to me. He completed level 1. He completed level 2. He completed level 3. And guess what? He also completed level 4. He completed every single level of Ultimate Beastmaster. I don't even know how to describe it. He looked so calm the entire time and so physically impressive. I do not see any competitor beating him, making it to stage 4, because the one thing that I thought about going into this is they have to make it to stage 4, and then they have to beat stage 4. And that's why this guy is my overall pick. I don't see anybody beating him in pretty much any of the other stages.
I agree with you. He was my top pick as well. But I do have to make one quick correction because everybody likes to correct us when we're wrong. He did actually fall on level 1. He fell on the crash pads. No one's actually beaten the entire thing. And the only reason I knew that he must have is because I've seen David Broom say that to people that no one's ever beaten the whole thing. And that's where he fell. He fell like towards the end of level 1.
All that I just said, but yeah, that's a good point. I just remember him making it so far. But
he did all the hard parts.
Crash pads.
He fell on something small at the beginning. He could have easily done the whole thing.
Gosh, he was so close then. That sucks, man.
Yeah.
Just think about it. He was so close to being the first comparator to do it. That said, I mean, that's a freak accident, and the crash pads really, in my opinion, say more about balance and other things, but I don't think it says too much about your overall athleticism. I can't fault him for that. I don't see too many faults in his game.
Yeah, considering he looked bored on level 3, which is one of the hardest parts of the whole thing, he absolutely looked like it was a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's what
I guess that's the difference between like a Drew Dreschel and Joe Morawski compared to a bunch of the other guys in American Ninja Warrior, right?
Right.
The guys that make it look easy are the guys to look out for.
So, yeah, my number 1 pick was the same, so I'll give my number 2 then. I am picking our co-host next week. Kyle Soderman is my number 2 pick.
Nice.
He beat level 2, getting all the point thrusters. Looking at the point totals, the way I kind of looked at it was their point totals coming into level 4, and then how far do they get on level 4. Kyle had 350 points coming into the final, which is the second highest, right behind Hai Bin Chu. Kyle had the second highest total. So he completed more of the other parts, the other levels than anyone else. So, that kind of puts him way up there for me. And, yeah, plus I want to support him. I mean, guy's coming on. The guy's nice enough to join us next week. I got to support him.
Of course. But actually, that's a very good point. I really like the points that you made of the fact that, you have to make it to stage 4. It's not a thing where it's like, oh, well, we can just pick the guys that are going to beat stage 4. You have to make it there first. And this guy has the best chances of anybody to actually making it there. The guy is very, very talented in terms of adaptability. And I think this says a lot in his experience with particular obstacle courses. Now, I think that's going to play a major component in his overall story and probably with him in this final episode. And the fact that if something does go wrong, or there is some weird extra challenge or whatever may happen, he's going to be able to adapt way better than any other competitor there. And I think that's a big feather in his cap. Also, we've seen that he has some pretty good grip strength and some other, I guess, athletic talents. So he's somebody I'm going to keep a very, very sharp eye on. He's very much going to play spoiler for anybody that you're expecting to just like blow through it. I could see him just breezing past all the guys that you expect to beat stage 4 and just making it there himself. So, yeah, my number 2, no surprise to anybody, is Mikhail Moem. And the reason I picked this guy is because he was so dominant episode 1, but more so when I look back at episode 1, he had so many other strong competitors, and the fact that he was able to persevere through that pack really said a lot to me. And I think when, he comes from a background where I feel like he's going to want it like more than most of the other competitors. And also, I don't know, just his gifts, his arm length, his strength, and his incredible like dead hang strength that he can just like hang there forever. I mean, I see this guy breezing past the competition, and more so if he makes it to stage 4, he's going to be really, really hard to beat. So I could see somebody like Kyle or any of the other guys beating him maybe to stage 4, but I feel like if he makes it to stage 4, he's going to be really, really hard to beat.
Yeah, because he had time to spare. Like, he really killed it on level 4. So he is definitely a top contender. He's one of those ones that I want to pick that, but I don't want to pick the same guys as you, and I knew you would pick them. So I was like, all right, let me
Yeah, we got to have some differences here.
expand my choices out a little bit here. This is my 3rd pick. I picked Cheetah Head, Manuel Cornu.
Nice.
He finished level 4. In spite of the dabbing, he beat level 3 as well. Like, the guy was very, very strong. I think he might be we may have underappreciated him a bit because of the ridiculousness of his haircut and all the other stuff that went on. But I think he's got all the talent he needs to bring it home.
Great point. I initially had Manuel Cornu as my 3rd pick because I can easily see him making it all the way. And don't sleep on him, guys. I think he's a very good chance. So I went outside the box, right? And for my third pick, I'm choosing Yichi Li from episode 4. He represents Team China. And the reason I'm choosing him is because he's a parkour instructor, so he's going to have that jumping finesse, right? The hops to make it past stage 1 and 2 fairly easily, in my opinion. And looking back at him, he was able to complete both stage 1 and 2. Now, the question mark for him is stage 3. And when you think about that, he fell on the ejector. So we never really got a chance to see what he's capable of when it comes to stage 3. I think with his expertise and from everything we saw of him and his relative comfort when we saw him in stage 2 on the I forget the name, the chains, right? He actually went through it fairly easily. So he actually does have some really good arm strength, grip strength, and dead hang strength. So I have a feeling that we're going to see him be able to complete stage 1, 2, and have a very good chance at completing stage 3. And if he does that, you are looking at a very, very dark horse in winning this whole season.
Yeah, he would be the dark horse pick for sure. For everything you just said, I was thinking along those same lines. If he hadn't fallen on the ejector, how far could he have gone? So this is really interesting. It's really going to be interesting to see how this all washes out in the end. Because like you said, some of the ones that, are easier picks because they beat level 4, for example, they have to get there first, and that's going to be the trick.
Yeah. I mean, the winner is going to be whoever we said has no chance in hell. I mean, that's probably what it's going to be. But
yeah, here comes Bin Shi, the guy that laid down at the top of the motherboard. He's going to be the one to take it all.
Oh, God.
But we'll see next week. Excited to finish this up, and but before we wrap up this episode, we have some Ninja mail to address. First up, our apology to Nathan Stinson, who asked us a question a couple weeks ago, which we didn't get to. So let's get this done now. And it's a little bit late for a bit of this because he asked, without seeing the last 5 episodes, do you think do you think another country will break into the winner's circle? Well, my bet is on Italy for that. But yeah, why are France, USA, and China so dominant? Does this speak to what sports or athletics those countries exceed at or push?
Well, I read this question earlier, so I had my initial take on it, which was I saw maybe one country taking it. And interestingly enough, I thought for some reason there was still a chance that Team India would have a competitor that would come out from the background, just because India is such a large country with so many, it's the second largest population in the world. And I was like, there's got to be some talent there that they got to find. I feel like the big problem with Team India this season wasn't the competitor. Anything else. It doesn't say anything about Indian athletes at all. I think it just had more to do with the agents choosing who to come from. Because it was a lot of, pretty model, celebrity type people when it came out of Team India. And I feel like they're more looking for characters more than athletes when it came to that country. But I still thought there was a chance. That really disappointed me in terms of just the athletes chosen for them. But to be perfectly honest, I thought there was a chance, but I thought it would have been coming from Team India.
I'm going to sound like I'm lying here probably, but I held out hope for Team Italy. They were my only real pick to kind of come in with a winner or two. Mainly because I think I associated Italy with climbers from watching USA versus the World. Was it Stefano Gisolfi and those guys that I've seen do so well? I thought that they would do better this season overall. I was surprised to not have some winners from Italy at that point. So yeah, I mean the fact that one of them got through is great, but I think that's where my head was at, that I was expecting Italy to do better.
Man, good pull. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I mean, makes valid points. I will say this, though. I thought there would be one. I had a feeling that we'd get a whole lot of USA, China, France still, to be honest with you.
I didn't know about China. I guess it was a question mark for me. I didn't know the sports background. I knew France had climbers and parkour, right? Like, well, France is probably going to do pretty well. That seemed like a given. USA always does because you guys are ultra competitive and whatever. But yeah, everybody else was kind of a question mark. And like I said, my thoughts were leaning towards Italy, if anybody, for the third spot.
Yeah. That said, I don't think it could have played out any better. The fact that there was just one sole person from Team Italy, and you could tell from like the host and everything, if there was one country that wanted it far more than any other, you got to think it was Team Italy. Like, yeah, they played a lot of games and stuff and pranks on all the other teams, but man, when their competitors were running, you saw that passion from them. So just, from the hosts and everything else, like just every dynamic about them was infectious, and they're the Cinderella story. And I give them very little chance, but man, if their competitor wins the whole show, oh boy, that is going to be a sight to see. I think my husband, Francisco, he might explode. His brain might actually explode, man.
So thank you, Nathan. That was a great question.
Thanks, man.
Gwen SW on Twitter asks, if Matt Iseman is on Celebrity Big Brother, would you consider covering it on the podcast?
Sure. I always hear about Big Brother. I have never seen that show, so I have no real background of what it's like or anything. But yeah, I'd totally be down to watch it. Is there like rumors that he's going to be on it or something? Is there something?
Yeah, he's really stoking them too, because they announced that there's going to be a Celebrity Big Brother. He's posting pictures in front of like a sign. I don't know if it's an official place that people know about, but it says like BB entrance, and he says something about like, I've always wanted to have a house in the valley or something like that. He is really, really hinting around that he's going to be on there, and he's liking posts where people are suggesting that he go on there and stuff. It's like, yeah. I think there's a good chance.
Well, when you think about it, Matt Iseman, he knows where his bread is buttered, and like the guy knows. The big thing about when you think Matt Iseman is personality. He's so likable. He's so charismatic. If there is a show where it's brimmed mostly off of personality, like it plays fully into his wheelhouse, right? So why not? Big Brother is far one of the biggest, reality television shows out there right now. So it would just raise his stock in celebrity just tenfold, right? So that would be huge for him. That said, one big thing of why I don't think he's going to be on Celebrity Big Brother, and that is Big Brother is on CBS. It's part of the CBS trilogy of reality television shows. Not only does Matt Iseman host a reality show, quote unquote, competition, whatever you want to call it, for NBC, he's also the champion of another reality television show that was also on NBC. So when you think Matt Iseman, he's clearly affiliated with NBC, and I don't know how much CBS is going to want somebody like him in it, because I love Matt Iseman, but if they're looking at people like, I don't know, like just throwing out a name, Kevin Hart or something like that, if they're looking for a level like that, it's going to be hard for them to like bring in Matt Iseman. But if it's at the same level of like Celebrity Apprentice, there might be a chance. I just when it comes to agents choosing people for reality show television, there's some politicking and pettiness going on where it's like the world may want it, but at the end of the day, there's probably like 5 people making the final decisions, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little torn. I guess the CBS NBC thing makes me think that maybe it won't happen.
Like what? Like, this is a thing though. When you say Matt Iseman, like, do you really think CBS is going to have hosts of American Ninja Warrior on their television show? That's the thing, man. Like,
it's possible. I mean, there are some crossover on some of these episodes and stuff. The thing that gets me is it even possible? I don't know what they're condensing the time frame for it. I know that, because you couldn't, have them spend months in there. So it's not going to be as long as you would normally have. But, I mean, there's a lot of preparation. All the stuff for American Ninja Warriors coming up, he probably can't commit to any kind of time frame to do that right now.
Good point. I mean, Matt Iseman is a busy, busy man. But I don't know. Matt Iseman also comes off like he's the workhorse where he'd find a way. He kind of reminds me of like The Rock or any of these other guys where it's like, do you ever sleep? You're affiliated with so many things going on at once.
Right. Sorry. I'm thinking like literally like if they sequester them for 4 weeks, he literally won't be available to go record.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it's even condensed more than that for the celebrity version. We'll see. Once we know more, we'll let you know. But chances are, if Matt's on there, we'll probably end up covering it. I like Big Brother a lot. I don't watch it every season. I have watched a few, and I watched the early seasons a lot. So I'm familiar with it. I know I can kind of guide Bijan through it.
Yeah, you'll have to guide me and the audience through it.
But yeah, thanks, Gwen. Thanks for writing that in.
Thanks.
So that is it for this week. Please make sure to tune in next week as we have Kyle Soderman here to help us cover the Beastmaster finale. And if you'd like to reach out to me, you can reach me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Twitter and Instagram. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Yeah. Very quick, I want to give a quick shout out to my brother Ramin. He's a newbie to obstacle course racing, and this is his final competition. He's done half marathons with me and other things, and this guy's always been very I don't know if insecure is the right word, but he's always been, I guess, hesitant, right? Like many people out there that don't do the competitions like me, about doing these things. And he's always been so brave in joining me for some competitions and motivating himself to get healthier. And I just want to give a quick shout out to him. I'm very, very proud of you, bro. He's going to be doing a Spartan race with me this Sunday. Please hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151 to see pictures of him and I competing in the race. And send him some good vibes because, I'm really proud of him. He's very terrified of this Spartan race, and I just know for a fact he's going to kill it.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you all for listening, and have a great week.
Peace and love. Deuces.